Good morning, everybody. Welcome to day two of Power Apps learning. In fact, Power Platform learning. In today's class, we will explore more about what exactly Office 365 Spectrum will come with and what are all the elements we will focus and how it will help in creating our projects and exploring more into Office 365. Okay, so having said that, this is a full spectrum of Office 365, out of which, if you notice, there is something called Power Apps here, SharePoint here, Power Automate or Flow here, Power BI here. So these are all the elements we will learn. Along with, there is something called Teams. This is called Microsoft Teams, to collaborate team and communicate across the team members and schedule meetings interactively to discuss about the plan and the schedule of various projects. So this is a full spectrum of Office 365 you will get with E5 subscription. Okay, so in this, Power Platform looks like this. In this, if you notice, the lowest layer is the base layer, or where it acts as the spinal for the environment. In this, we have first thing called data connectors, AI builder, and dataverse. I repeat, data connectors, AI builder, and dataverse. Data connectors, or as the name it says, they are connectors to communicate the UI to database. So there must be a connection string between the user interface and to the database. That those connection strings will be uh, accumulated or presented at that data connectors layer. And Dataverse is a inbuilt or homegrown database for Power Platform. In Power Platform, Microsoft had created its own database. What exactly this is? This is neither SQL nor Oracle nor Cosmos DB nor any other databases. A Dataverse is a blend of Cosmos DB, SQL, and various other elements. Why it is like that and where it is integrated or where it is inherited from. So Dataverse is not a newborn baby. It's a cloned baby which is there under CRM. Office 365 also called an element called CRM. And in CRM, they already have a database called Dataverse, which is a proven and performant database. And they have cloned a element or set of features out of that database, and they attached that cloned baby into Power Platform. Then and then they named it as Dataverse. So that is this element. What is AI builder? AI builder is artificial intelligence builder. In this, they use something called data model, data training. All those aspects will come under AI builder. So in AI builder, we create models, we train models. Once the models are trained, we publish those models. So those published models will become the uh, source of that application to run the app. Next comes to the UI or interactive layer, which is Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, Power Virtual Agent. And if you see, as the name says that Power BI is a business analytics layer, and Power Apps is application development, Power Automate is process automation, Virtual Agent is intelligent virtual agents, which we already discussed yesterday. But let me uh, brush up one more time. Power BI, as its name says, business analytics, mainly used to do the analysis on the data, which is reporting. And Power Apps is to implement application development. In this layer, users like you and me create applications. We will have a look on that applications, how they look like quickly, and then we will start our journey. Third one is Power Automate. In Power Automate, there is a process we do which is called automation, where and all we notice that this process can be automate and can run without a user intervention or user presence, is where Power Automate come into the picture, which means we automate the job and we use that job to perform all the operations. Fourth one is Power Virtual Agent. We also call that as chatbot. In Power Virtual Agent, what we do is we create bot engines. Those engines will help user to give the basic information, or if the bot is very advanced, it can go deeper and get the advanced information also. On top of this layer, we get Dynamics 365, Office 365, Azure, and your business app and data. Okay, so this is how a entire structure you could see when we look at Power Platform architecture. Any questions? By the way, Power Platform is also called low code, no code environment. I repeat, Power Platform is also called low code, no code environment. Why it is called low code, no code environment is Power Platform mainly targeted for citizen developers. Who are those citizen developers? Citizen developers are a set of audience who can speak only English. They don't know any programming language. Any means any programming language. They don't know any programming language. All they know is they read out on the documentation and they just go with whatever they say in the documentation with minimal coding, which is called low code, no code platform. As part of this low code, no code, what user will do is they will add controls on the screen and they will write a minimum code to perform the operations. Okay. Having said that, what user needed or what user had to know is very simple formulas which we use in day out as a Excel formulas. Uh, as most of you might have already used Excel many times. In Excel we can write formulas like, now if I have number 15 and number 16 here, I can come here and say this plus this. So this, what it did is it had done the addition, right? Now coming here, now if I want to concatenate these two strings, I can come here and fx, under fx, here I can say string formulas, string, where are you? Yeah, text, and say concat, The
Excuse me,
concat.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, sir. Sir,
Yes.
screen is not sharing. Screen
Wait,
is not visible, sir.
I'm
Shared screen is not.
Was it the same case from the beginning?
Ah, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What were you guys doing here? Sleeping. Okay, I repeat. This is how a overall architecture or a flow of any element or any pillar in Power Platform goes through. If you see here, user will come onto any of the front end layer, which is Power Apps, Power Automate, Power AI Builder, or Power BI. They come here and use the URL or use the application link, and as and when they launch that, it first go on to load balancer. Load balancer sits on top of iis is internet information services, which host the load balancer. Load balancer will communicate with the web front end servers. What are the web front end servers? Web front end servers are mainly used to distribute the load across the servers when user try to navigate their website or application. When we have multiple web front end servers, load balancer will distribute the load equally across all the web front end servers. If a load balancer notice that web front end 2 is having a pocket of space, it will route the user request onto web front end server. Once web front end server receives the request, it will then identify where my user had to be redirected onto, whether my user had to redirect onto a sandbox environment or a reporting server, because to get the best performance or efficient applications, users will always schedule or appoint all the reporting engines or reporting systems at one location and applications are another location. In that way, what happens is, if user is rendering a Power BI report, it will route the user directly onto reporting server, and then it will communicate with the data storage. If you notice here, what it has is data lake, which consists of SQL, and it does the searching with the help of search methodologies, and it also has Cosmos DB, and it also has blob storage mechanism. It also has SQL elastic pools. What exactly the SQL elastic pools does is, it expands the data storage as and when user enhance the storage limit for each and every environment. Last but not least, it even can communicate with Azure Functions, Event Hubs, Service Bus, Kubernetes services. These are all another set of functionalities or privileges or features comes in Office 365 umbrella. Any questions? This is called Power Apps Maker Portal. What is the URL for Power Apps Maker Portal is https colon slash slash make.powerapps.com. We don't have to go every time onto the landing page or Office homepage and go to waffle menu and do this. You can also just navigate by doing make.powerapps.com. Just to prove that concept, when I say make.powerapps.com, it automatically take user to Maker portal. Let's spend some time on this Maker portal landing page, because you should know each and every option what is there in this portal or in this page. Remember, this is a cloud environment. Who will manage the cloud environment? the provider will manage the cloud environment. When provider is managing the environment, provider will release the updates to the environment, so the updates will fall in place without the permission from the user. However, user also can control that is this feature I am interested in or not. Example, if I install an app on my Android phone, I can say, am I interested to update to the latest version of the app or not? Or am I interested to update my operating system on my phone to the latest version or not? Similarly, I can control whether I want to switch to the latest version or not. But by default, it picks up the latest changes deployed by the provider on that platform on a periodic basis. Having said that, we will end up getting surprises every morning in Office 365, because once Microsoft release the new version of functionalities in Office 365, it may change the look completely. Why I am saying that is, if you see here, this one was journalized just a week before. Earlier, there is no sections or zones here on the left hand rail. In fact, there is no more button or more option as part of this left hand rail. By the way, this is called left hand rail or left menu. When you click on more, you can also select or pin more options as part of this left hand rail. Okay, example, if I want to see cards also as part of this left hand menu, I can just say pin that option. It automatically comments it there. If I'm not interested, I can always unpin that, it will go away. Clear? And it also shows you what are all the other avenues or pillars of Power Platform. If you have a quick glance of that, Power Automate, Power BI, Power Pages, Power Virtualization, Power Platform Admin Center. Since you are in Power Apps Maker Portal, it didn't show up that. If I go on to Power Automate, look at the left hand rail. The left hand rail and the options are completely different. But end of the day, all the options what you see here will match 80% with the options here. Only few options will not match because this is automate related and this is app related. Okay, let's explore this page. On the top right hand side, it will show you who is the logged in user, and this icon is called gear icon. This is called gear icon. When you are pedaling the cycle, you will get the gear, right? Similarly, the gear icon, and under when you click on that gear icon, you can just change the theme of your browser. And when I say click on this, it automatically changes that to that theme. And the next one is the set of options where you can land onto admin center. This is called Power Platform Admin Center, where it will give you an option to control your Power Platform, which from here you can control all the options or all the pillars of Power Platform. And next one is what are all the plans it is under. This subscription or this user is advanced settings, which will give you option to go on to advanced settings to change the environment name, user display name, blah blah blah. And followed by developer resources, session details. The session details will show you all the timestamp, session ID, tenant ID, all this information. When this information is useful is when we have any trouble and log a Microsoft ticket, Microsoft team will ask you, would you mind to provide the session details so that we will connect with your tenant and do the troubleshooting. That time we will have to provide this session details. Okay, and see this advanced settings. Advanced settings will take you to Dynamics 365, from which the settings and the options are completely different. This is, as I said, this is a cloned baby of CRM or Dynamics 365. So still some of the settings are controlled from their page or their settings area. And next one is Power Apps settings. Here it will show you all the various options like what language and time and notifications, if they want, if you want to see the notifications and directions, all those things. Okay, any questions so far? So when you click on this, you will get to see all the environments existed in your platform or tenant. So what is an environment? Is environment is a place where you will create all your apps and you can target to set of audience to get access onto. So which means that in a organization, what usually they do is they will create set of environments for each and every business unit. So when they want to separate the audience, say like I have HR department, I have finance department, I have transportation department. Transportation department is mainly into cab and all the transport related operations. So they will use a set of apps. Those are apps relevant to only the transportation department. So what ideal case, what's the ideal case is, you will create a app, or you will create an environment for all the apps relevant to transportation department, and we deploy that apps under that environment, and we will add users into that environment. In that way, what happens is when user come into the platform, they will only see their own environments and their own set of apps. Okay, so how we could create environments and where we could create environments, we will learn along the way. But ideally, you will see only one environment here, because you are absolutely a new tenant user. You don't have any environments because your tenant is a brand new tenant, right? And the next one is home icon here, and a create. When you click on create, it will show you options for you to create a brand new app. An app can be created in three ways. Option number one, I can create a blank app, or I can create a app out of the data source, or I can create a app. Okay, from this page, what we could do is we can create app in three approaches. Approach number one is I can create an app as a blank application, and I can associate my controls and the data source or the database to the app. Approach number two, I can create an app directly from my data source or my database. Third approach is I will create my screens and then I will associate my data to the app. Those are the three ways I can create the app. Last but not least, I can create an app from the existing templates which are provided by Microsoft. Okay, those are the various ways I can create an app. In that, when you see this is a blank app, and this is something I can create an app with Dataverse as a backend, and this is to create app SharePoint as a backend database and Excel as a backend database. This Excel sits in OneDrive. OneDrive is also a part of Office 365 again, and this is to create an app with a SQL as a backend database. And this is a beautiful option you can create by creating or sketching on a paper. Just sketch on a paper, take a photo. From that photo you can create a screen. I repeat, sketch whatever you want on a paper, take a photo, upload the photo. Office 365 artificial intelligence will render through the image or the photo whatever you upload, and then it will convert that as a screen in your app. And this is a Figma. Figma is usually used by the UI designers to create the wireframes for the application. As and when client come with some requirement, the first guy come into the picture is a UI designer. UI designer will create a UI, how it look like, what are the options it has to come, what the menu options, what button has to sit where, and what color of the button, blah 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 blah. Everything will be created by the UI designer. The UI designer will use a framework called Figma framework. Once they create the Figma, they can upload or they can provide the Figma to this option, Figma framework to this option, and it will render all the Figma framework into screens. As you could clearly see, those two are in preview. We will learn what that exactly means in a while. After that, you see, these are all the templates available out there from Microsoft. These are all the apps which are already created by Microsoft and with static data in it. If I want to make use of that app, I can create the app, and I need to understand what the data model they are using. After that, we will have to create our own data model and associate our data model to that app. Is that clear? Okay. That is all about this page. The next one is the learn section from the left hand menu. A basic or a brand new user can come here and they can start their learning on Power Apps. There are various articles and material out here. There are some YouTube channels also added here, so they can come here and they can do that. And next one is apps. When you click on apps option, you will come to see all the apps you created and the apps shared with you, meaning that I have created an app and I am the owner of the app, which will come and sit here. And the second option is I have my team member created an app, and that app is added to me also. He shared that app to me also, that also come and visible over here. And the next one is solutions. Solution is a cascade to encapsulate all the various elements related to a particular project. A project can have a set of apps, set of flows, set of Power BI reports. To encapsulate everything into one bundle, we use something called solutions. And next one is tables. Tables is rendering from Dataverse. When you create a table in Dataverse, those tables will come and visible here. However, as soon as a environment come into place, you will get the default set of tables with Dataverse. The next one is flows. Flows are Power Automate flows. You can navigate the flows which you have access on or which you have created from this section also, which means though you are in a maker portal of Power Apps, you can create or you can navigate or you can view the flows which you have access on to. Is that clear? Next thing we want to emphasize on environments. When you click here, you will see all the environments available in your tenant, right? So since I have so many apps already in my default environment, I don't want to use this. Rather, I'll just create one environment for your batch. Before that, how a Power App look like? We will just quickly look at into that. Quick, which one? Gallery inline editing. When you just say select that app and click on the play button, it will render the app, and the app will typically look like this. This is the icon what we have provided to the app, and then it will just tell you, okay, these are all the connections used in your app, which means that I have my data rendering from SharePoint as the data source, and when I say allow, it automatically just take user to the app. So this is how we can create app. In this app, I have explained in my last video how you could implement inline editing in the gallery itself. It is as good as editing data in an Excel sheet. I can just change anything then and there for multiple rows, and I can click on save. It will save all the rows, not one or two rows. It will save all the rows, and then say like sample22 at gmail.com, manager, and say save. It automatically it will save all the data, and it will reload the data on the gallery. You see that automatically the entire gallery went on to read only mode. Earlier I clicked on these four pencil icons and these four rows become editable, but now it is no longer editable now because I have done with the savings, and everything got reloaded. Okay. This is a sneak peek of the app what we can create with Power Apps, and this control is called gallery, similar to a grid what we see in traditional programming language called a .NET or any other language, any other programming language. Okay, and I click on new option, it adds a new row, as many rows as you want, and it will just submit the data back to the database. Say like sample 31, sample 32, sample 33, and say 400, 500, 600. Now if I click on save, notice that there is no value as part of the id. Id is a dynamic value which comes and generates. Now if you see here, 31, 32, 33 got its own id, 17, 18 and 19, and the data is saved successfully to backend data source. Okay, this is how we can create apps. This is called a Power App. Okay, now let's understand what is an environment and how many types of environments we have in Power Platform. How we could create an environment, go to environments, and then sorry, go to admin center by clicking on the gear icon, click on admin center. It will take user to the admin center. This is admin portal for Power Platform. From here I can control my environments, I can create various data loss prevention policies, and I can also see the statistics of my tenant or the platform from here. After coming here, when you click on environments, it will show you all the environments existed in your tenant. You don't have to create an environment because yours is a E5 subscription without any licensing or purchase licenses on that. So you will get a default storage on your tenant. So you would not be able to create any tenant. Okay. When you come here under the admin portal, you will get an option to create a new environment. As I said, your tenants are a brand new tenants and a E5 subscription and developer tenants. You would not get an option or a storage to create new environments. Now, since I have licenses and I'm paying for this my tenant which I'm using from last 4 years, so I'm going to get some additional space and I'm creating an environment. When you click on new, it will let you create new environments. Environments in Power Platform are various types. Let's learn what are all the type of the environments. Environment number one, sandbox environment. A sandbox environment is a free environment, but you will not get all the production level privileges. So sandbox environment basically users used to do their development. And the next one is a trial subscription. Trial is default. By default it lives for 30 days. After 30 days it automatically get delete. Third environment is a developer environment. As the name says, it is developer environment. There is no great difference between a sandbox and a developer environment, but a developer environment will come with one restriction, is that when you create an app as part of a developer environment, you cannot share the app with your team members. A developer environment is a purely a play area for you to create apps for your own practice. Fourth environment is production environment. As the name says, it is mainly used for a production level of apps. Last one is again trial. Both are same, there is no difference. Apart from these environments, there is another environment called Dataverse for Teams. What is that environment is, in Dataverse for Teams environment, user will create an environment from Microsoft Teams. So when user create from Microsoft Teams, when user create an app inside Teams, it will spin a environment called Dataverse for Teams environment. From that environment, user can create apps, flows, and also Power BI reporting. As of I know, it is in still preview. Okay, so those are all the various environments user can create. Okay, now I'm creating a sandbox environment and I'm naming that environment as GVP 2023 batch, and I'm going to give a description as this is to uh, train GVP 2023 batch. And you can also specify, do you want to create a database for this environment? Absolutely, because we are going to learn Dataverse as part of our learning. So I am interested to create database to this. So which means that when you are creating an environment, you can define whether I want to create my environment with database or without a database. By default, it creates an environment without a database, because when an environment get create with database, it consumes or it requires additional space, so it doesn't give you an option to create the database by default. Okay, when you say yes for this and click on next, it start asking you questions saying like, what is the language you wanted to associate this environment and what is the currency. Don't worry, any environment you will get all these options, but it will not charge you anything. And after that, it also give you an option that enable Dynamics 365 apps. Those are There are a set of apps it will come with when you select this radio button or the toggle button. When you say yes for that, it will import some apps by default and deploy sample apps and data. It will get those apps also. Now, last but not least, are you willing to associate your environment with a security group? Why do I need with the security group? When I want to target one set of audience while creating the environment, meaning I am creating an environment for only travel division, or I'm creating an environment for finance division. I don't want to expose that environment to the entire organization. So that time what I do, I create a security group and add all the users into that security group and associate that security group right over here. So when you associate that, what happens is only that set of audience will get access on this environment. For the time being, I'm not doing that, and I'll say save. So when I save, when I click on save, what it does is it will create a brand new environment for me. There you go. Now if you see here, new environment GVP 2023 batch is preparing. It can it can be used only ready. So now it is spinning, and if you see the status, it is preparing my environment. Once the environment is ready, it will say my environment is ready for my apps to get create. Once you create the environment is at the platform level. That environment is available in both Power Apps and Power Automate also. Power BI works completely different. For a minute, let's put the Power BI aside. So when you create an environment, the environment will be available in Power Apps and Power Automate also. So user can navigate to that environment and create apps and share the apps across their or across their vertical or their division, and also create flows to automate their job or a layman job to make the process efficient. Okay, so now it is still rendering. Now if you see, my environment is ready. Now I'll go to Power Apps and just say refresh my Maker portal, because I want my portal to pick the newly created environment. Now just click on the environments. I should be able to see the new environment called GVP 2023 batch. Now when I click on GVP 2023 batch, the portal will switch me back from my default environment to GVP 2023 environment. You see that? Now I have got my environment ready, and I can start creating apps in my environment. That is how we can create environments in Power Apps, Power Platform, my bad. Okay. Now today, let's go ahead and create one app from existing templates. Now go to home. Under home, you should be able to see, oh my goodness, create. You should be able to see, when you click on create, you should be able to see all the various templates available out there from Microsoft. And now let's go ahead and create one template called Power Apps Training. I selected that, and now I'm naming my app as Power App Training. I don't want to see any tails under that. So say like create. Now at the time I say create, it takes that template as a base and create a brand new app in my environment. So now if you see, it took that environment and it is started spinning in this environment. There you go. It created app for me. And if you notice, it got a lot of screens onto your left hand side. What you see are called, these are called screens. And how you could play this app is you can click on F5 in your keyboard, or you can always click on the play button here. So when you click on that, it will take you to all the various steps under this app. And if you notice, I have not done anything, but I see a set of options here and set of data here, and I can navigate in the app, which is telling me all the basics, navigation, formula, and whatnot. Everything it is just taking me one by one, right? Are you able to follow me? This is how I can create an app once I select a template. After that, once I create the app, the first step is you can save the app. So once you click on the and save, it will save the app in your environment. Now, if I go back to make.powerapps.com and go to apps, it is not showing anything here because I just created, I render the app. I have not saved the app in my environment. When will I see a app here is only when I click on the save or the floppy icon here. Now I can save the app in three ways. One is save the app with version notes, or I can save the app with the option save as, and also I can download a copy of the same app onto my local machine, right? So when I click on save with the version note, what are version notes? Version notes helps users or the developers to understand what has happened previously, because apps are shared across the team, and team started working on the app, and they started making changes on each and every functionality as per the business requirement. But end of the day, when the owner of the app or any other team member of the app comes into picture, and if they want to understand what has Mr. Mr. Manoj had made the changes. What Satya made the changes, what Kameshwari made the changes, what Ramya made the changes. How does user or the fellow developer will come to know is that when they provide the version notes. When you are saving the app, it is always a best practice. It is not even good. It is the best practice to give version notes stating that what I have done. Now I'm giving the version note as this is a app created from templates to understand the app. Click on save. Once you click on save, it will save the app, and it immediately gives you an option to publish the app, which is this. Once you click on that for the first time, it publishes automatically. Now when I come back to the apps and see this automatic, I automatically see an app under my apps section, which is power apps training, because I have completed the app saving, so it has to get saved at my environment level. Now where do I see those notes? Select this app and click on the details. It will show you various options for that app. In section 1, it will show you all the details of the app, which is who is the owner of this app, when the app was created, when the app was modified last time, and what is the link for this app, and the mobile QR code. It is added very recently. By scanning this QR code, you can render the app in your mobile. However, you have to have Power Apps app on your mobile from your Android store or iOS store. Then only it will open up the app. And then next one is versions. When you go here, it will show you the version and the version notes here. Now if I come here and say that, come back to landing page, and under this, okay, let me rename this as um, panel. Now I made the change. Now I come here, version notes, uh, rename the rename the group in landing or welcome page. Save. Now once I save this app, it immediately asks you to publish the app. If you are okay to publish, just go ahead and publish. What is the difference between save and publish? For the first time, when you create an app for the very first time, it will not ask you, because once you create an app and save the app, it automatically get published. But later part, once you save the app, or once you start working on the existing app, it will ask you, hey boss, you completed your saving your changes, are you willing to publish the app? If you are interested, you click on the publish app. What is the difference? When you save the app, all the changes will store locally. It will not be visible to the end user who is using the app and as an end user. So unless until you publish the app, user cannot see the newly updated or newly added changes on the portal, on the app. Is that clear? So that is how only once you publish the app, it will be available to the end user. Once you go into versions, after that you will be able to see the version notes. Version notes are very 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 important, because only version note gives you a more granular level of insights on the app, what happened previously, what that particular developer had done. So it is a best practice to add notes. Is it required to do every time? At least at the major level, meaning I made changes, say like 10 to 15 changes I made for the development cycle 2 or 3. Now I want to publish my app with those changes. It is always recommended to note down, or the key down all the changes into that app, into the app version notes. Is that clear? And those notes I can see by coming onto apps, select the app, go to details, under version notes, to the particular version note. Just when you mouse over, you will be able to see the entire version note, whatever the developer had provided. Okay. This is how you can see the version notes of the app. And also, what else I could see as part of this is, I can see, is there any connections associated? Is there any database connections associated? Are there any flows associated in this app? Last but not least, analytics of that app. How many people are using? If you notice, this is again rendering with the help of Power BI in the platform. So it gives you various stats: how many times the app got launched, delay activities users, and what are all the devices the app is rendering under, all various details. Okay. So that is how I can create an app with the existing default templates. What is the second approach? I can create an app from the basic, or I can create an app from the existing data source, right? So let's go ahead and create a data source with Excel as the media. Okay, let me get one of the existing Excel file I have on my system for you guys. I have my Excel file with two sheets in it. The sheet number one, I have missions, and sheet number two, I have mission types. Okay, these are all the two Excel sheets I have. And in this, if you notice, the Excel is formatted with tables for those, for that data. How do you create these tables? When you go to Excel and say this uh, column 1, column 2, 1 2. So this data, you can select all the data in that sheet which you want to convert the data to a table. Select that, go to insert and click on table. It will convert the selected data into a table. So while creating a table, it will also ask you, hey boss, do you have headers on the table? Or you want to create you want me to create a default header. If you have headers, just leave the checkbox on and say okay. It automatically converts the data into table, and by default it gives you a name, a table to randomly, or if you are interested you can always say dummy data. Only one caveat here is while you are creating table name, it will not let you create with spaces. It will let you create the table name without spaces. Okay. Now that is how this data is formatted in these two sheets. So now these two sheets are available for me to create a app out of it. This is the data I want to use while I'm creating my while I'm creating my app. Okay, I'm saving my Excel sheet into OneDrive. Where is OneDrive? Click on the waffle menu and go to OneDrive here. Or else you can always go to here. Okay, first thing first, go to make.powerapps.com. This in this time, what are we going to do? We are creating app from the existing data. This time my data is rendering from Excel. This is only for your understanding. I'm creating. Ideally Excel is not a good data source for you to create a app. Okay, now just click on select Excel. And if you notice here, it is expecting you to create a connection string. So Excel had to be rendered from any location. It could be OneDrive or it could be any other data source. Now for this exercise, what I'm doing is I'm selecting OneDrive for business, select that, say create. When you click on create, it will establish a connection to OneDrive, and then it will start showing you all the data inside your OneDrive. Now I have device order data available in my OneDrive. I'm selecting this Excel to create the app. I selected that and immediately it started showing me the tables inside that Excel. We have machines, we have devices and manufacturers as part of my Excel sheet. Click on devices. I am selecting the table devices to create the app. I selected devices and say connect. So the time I say connect, it start rendering my app. If you see that, it is automatically creating app for me with the database as devices as the table for that app. There you go. It created the app with three basic screens. Very, very important. Understand what are all the screens you get as and when you create an app with the data. It creates three screens. What are those? One is a browse screen, detail screen, and edit screen. Again, as and when you create an app from the data, it create three screens: browse, details, and edit screen. If you notice here, when you click on play, I am able to operate my app to perform all the data operations. What are the data operations? Create, read, update, and delete. These are the four data operations I always can perform on my data. So when I click on that, it is letting me to see all the information for that particular record. And when I click on pencil icon, it is letting me to make changes on that. Now if I just delete that and click on save, by clicking on the tick icon, it automatically updates my data back in the database. And it is also giving me three level of information. One is the row number, what is the type of my device, and what is the device name. And when I click on this particular row or this right icon, it takes me to the detail space. Now if I just stop the play mode of the app, which screen it is rendering when it is showing the details screen. Also, when I play the app, click on the pencil icon. This time it took me to the edit screen because I want to see the details and now I want to perform the edit operation on the data for that particular selected record. This is how a basic app will get create as and when you create an app from existing data source. Any questions? Okay. After you create the app with the basic screens, you can navigate onto this. However, if you notice, the width of the app is only 1/4 of your screen, and app also rendering in such a way that as of I'm rendering a app on a hand device, right, which is mobile. Exactly, this layout is called mobile layout or phone layout. What is the default layout you get when you create an app with the blank template is called a tablet layout. But when you create an app with the database, it by default creates mobile layout. But what I have to do, I'm not interested to see only this much space. I want to see a full screen mode. You can always change the orientation of this app. For that we will pause it for a while, we will learn down the line. But ideally you can always switch between the orientations, whether it is a mobile orientation or a tablet orientation, we can always change or we can always switch between those modes. Okay, this is how I can create an app from the data. So now I've created the app, I've ensured that all the data operations I'm able to make. Now the next step is I have to save the app with some notes. Now see this, initially what it is asking, hey boss, what is the name of the app? I say like Excel data. Save that. Now it is saving the app by default. See what happens once it is saved. It did not ask me to publish because by default it get published. Now if I go to apps and I will be able to see app here under my apps section because I have saved the app, so it automatically saves in my environment level, right? Now once the app is saved, you can always make your changes and do the publish for the external audience. So now once the app is done, okay, let's see how we could create app from the blank template. Go back to the make.powerapps.com, and now the third approach is creating app from the blank template. Now click on blank app. Now here it is asking you, hey buddy, you're interested to create app from the blank. So are you creating blank canvas app or blank app based on Dataverse tables or blank Power Apps website? No, no, I'm not interested in website. I'm not interested in creating app from the Dataverse. I'm interested in canvas. My goodness, what is canvas? It's a new word for us, right? In Power App, there are two type of apps. One is Canvas app and the other one is model driven app. I repeat, in Power Apps, there are two type of apps. One is Canvas app and the other one is model driven app. Canvas app is mainly used to create a colorful UI and also communicate with more than one data source in a single app. What does that exactly means? I am creating a Canvas app and I can communicate with SQL, Excel, Dataverse, all three data sources in the single app. In one app, I can communicate with more than one data source. If the user requirement is as such, the best fit is Canvas app. And user is interested in more colorful UI, interactive UI, user friendly UI. Canvas is the best fit. But user is more oriented on the process. He's least bothered about UI, and his data is rendering from data hours. I repeat, his data is rendering from data hours. Then the best fit is model driven apps. In model driven apps, when you are creating app with model driven, what happens is it by default can communicate with only one database called dataverse. So depends on the user's choice. If user is more process oriented and less UI interested, model driven is your best fit. But user is more choosy on the UI and has the data across the data sources, then canvas is your best fit. Now here I want to create a canvas app from the blank template. Click on the create. Now notice here there are two options it is showing. What are those options? Tablet and phone. Notice the preview here. This is the tablet view and this is the phone view. Now if I click onto phone, it will create a app with phone layout. And if I choose a tablet, it will create app with tablet as the default layout or the rendition behavior. And notice that we just created app with data and it created the app with the mobile or the phone layout. Now I want to create an app from the blank, and this time I want to create an app with tablet layout as the default layout. Now I've selected tablet and then creating a app for the tablet layout. Now I'm giving a name for the app as sample app. Say create. Notice what happens as soon as it create a app. See here, I have not got multiple screens. I got only one screen, which is a blank screen. Only one screen I got, which is a blank screen. Can I delete this blank screen? Unfortunately, you cannot delete the initial screen. For that matter, you cannot create all the screens in the app. You can delete all the screens, but at least one screen had to be there in the app. Once you decide that, you can say bye bye to all the screens and leave only one screen. Now by default the screen come with the name called screen 1. If you want to rename that, always you can double click on that, or you can click on the ellipsis icon. Click on the ellipsis icon, click on rename to rename the screen name. Always follow the best practices when you are creating the app. The best practice to name a screen is SCR followed by whatever the name you want to create to that screen. Now I want to create my screen as home page of my app. So what is the naming convention I have used? I have used SCR, H as capital, home, P as capital, page, home page. Notice SCR home page. This type of naming convention is called camel sensitive. Camel sensitive. This naming convention is called camel naming convention. This is common across the industry. Doesn't matter which programming language you go. Doesn't matter what technology you choose. The naming convention is this is the naming convention you should use. When you use this kind of a naming convention, it shows your professionalism when you are creating the app. Okay, now I have created I have renamed my app with the standard naming convention as SCR homepage. Now the homepage is renamed, and notice the area or the dimension of the screen what I got when I compare with my previous app. Okay, let me open the previous app side by side. Excel data, and click of select the app and click on edit to edit the app, which will open the app in the edit mode. And when you notice the dimension of the screen or the uh, area what you get in the mobile mode is this is the area. And whereas here I got a lot more area because the layout we have selected this time is tablet layout. But the default layout it selected when I'm rendering the app from the database is phone layout. Any questions? Let's spend some time on this screen. What are all the various options we have? What is what? This is called the tree view option. When you click on this, it will show you all the options over here. And this is to add or insert the controls on my screen. When you click on that, it will give you various controls which I can add it onto my screen. This is to show all the data connectors, sorry, data sources associated in your screen. It shows you all the table names or the lists which you are if you are using SharePoint as the backend data source. And this is the media is where you will have all your images get saved when you start importing images into your app. And this is to show or associate a flow into the app. I'm creating a Power App and I can also call a flow from Power App. So in that time, what I have to do, I have to create a flow into flow.maker flow create.powerautomate.com, which is flow maker portal. Or also you can create a flow by clicking on new flow here. You can quickly create a flow and that flow will automatically get associates to this app. And next one is advanced tools. Under advanced tools you will see two options. One is monitoring and the next one is test cases. Test cases is still under testing phase. Forget about that for now. Monitor is the one will give you a flexibility to monitor your app when you want to debug your app. Remember, there is no way for you to debug your app by clicking on F8 in your traditional programming language. When you are implementing app or a web page in .NET or Java, you can do a debugging by clicking on F8. It will debug the code line by line. But unfortunately, in Power Apps, there is no such approach for you to debug the app if you notice any issue in the app. How do you know where it is getting failed? Is the monitor is the only one which will give you more insights of your app. Last but not least, the search is to search a control or a variable across your app and also replace. If you have created a variable with a name where ABC. Now you want to rename that var ABC with a proper naming convention. So what is the place you will have to go? You will have to click on that magnifier image on your left hand side and go to place, provide the name of your variable as of today and give the new name of your variable. That is how you can replace or rename a variable across the app and one go. In one go you can do that. Those are all the options on your left hand rail. And this gear icon over here will show you the settings of your app, wherein you could see what is the name of the app, the description of the app, what is the app icon renders to that app. If you are not interested in the standard default icon, you can always change your icon. Even these icons, any of the existing icons are not making you happy, you can always add an image for your icon. Okay, and for that icon, if you want to provide a background color, you can always provide a background color. See that when I change that, it is changing. And icon also, I can change the color of the icon. And the next setting is it automatically saves the data on every 2 minutes. automatically saves the data on every 2 minutes. Next one is data row limit. Just pause for a minute, for a while. We will learn more about this data row limit and how to increase the data row limit, what is the maximum row limit I can define on the app, and also there are various other settings for the app. And the next one is display. Here you could see what is my orientation of the app. When you see the orientation, landscape or portrait, when you switch to portrait, it automatically switches to mobile mode. Do you see that? Which is what I have explained just before. Before, in the last exercise, we have created an app with data. That time what happened, it created an app with phone layout or phone layout as the default layout, and the orientation is like this. But if I want to switch, I can always come here and go to display and switch the orientation from portrait to landscape and landscape to portrait. But mind you, when you are playing with this orientation, all the controls on the screen will get disturbed. They will not get adjust automatically. So you as a developer have to take the call, what is the orientation of my app. Remember, the orientation is at the app level, not at the screen level. Is that clear? When you create a orientation, the orientation is at the app level. When you define the orientation at the app level, all the screens in the app will associate that orientation by default. Give me a minute. It is not possible for you to give screen 1 I give a landscape orientation, screen 2 I will give portrait orientation. It's not possible. Okay. And also, when you specify the orientation, you can also specify the default size. It is 16 is to 9 is the default. Or if you are rendering your app on a Surface Pro, Microsoft Surface Pro device, you can always say Surface Pro is my targeting audience. I can select that. Or the if the app is rendering on a wider screen or external monitors, you can always say my external user is a wide screen user. So I will select my orientation as 16 colon 10. Or my external user is an iPad. When I select the iPad, see the orientation. It is neither big nor small. If you notice, this is neither big nor small. The orientation of this screen is not a phone layout orientation nor the big tablet orientation. It converted my orientation to iPad orientation. And also, no, neither of these are helping me. I want to give my own custom orientation. You can always give your custom orientation or custom dimension of your screen. So by default, I'm switching back to 16 is to 9, and then scale to fit, which means that it automatically fits to that orientation, and lock the aspect ratio. Whatever the aspect ratio you selected, it will get locked onto that aspect ratio. And next one is, what are all the upcoming features into this platform? These are all three options there. Let's spend 5 more minutes there. There are various stages Microsoft release their features. Stage 1, which they call it as experimental stage, which means they also not sure which will how it will go. They are experimenting a feature. Stage 2, preview. Okay, they have experimented, they are happy with the output. They release that feature into a preview mode. Third phase is the um, go live phase, which is when it will release onto the entire audience. Remember, once a feature comes into experimental, there is no guarantee that feature will stay for a long time or not. never ever use that kind of a feature or the functionality in your app, because today you selected that feature and tomorrow, after say like a week or so, man Power Apps development team from Microsoft decided that no, 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 it is not a right feature to put in place. Just call it off. As I said, it is a cloud environment. Provider is the decider. So provider decide that this feature is no longer needed, they will just call off, and that feature will no longer be available, and all the functionality you have implemented with that feature will go out. So never select any experimental feature unless until you are okay to lose that functionality in your app. Number two is preview. Yes, if the feature is in preview, you can use the app, but preferably do not go until to production, because preview is also not final product or final approved feature from Microsoft. Okay, last but not is go live. They will announce, hey, this particular feature is fully tested, absolutely working as it is needed. They will push it into go live. Those features are the final features. Once it go live, it will never be called out. It will stay there in the Maker portal forever and ever. That is how features will be released into the system by Microsoft. Last but not least, retired. All the features are experimented and not happy will be pushed under retired section. Once it is went to retired, means that, hey boss, this feature is no longer supported. It is absolutely your risk to use that feature if you really want to use that feature. Okay, that is how Microsoft release the features into their system. And the last option is support. In this, you will come to know what is the name of your environment which the app is rendering into, and what is the authorization version. Authorizing version is the version which get used by the app while you're creating the app. So this version is the version which the build it is using while creating the app. Meaning, as I'm keep telling, this is a cloud environment. Provider will push a bundle of features into the system. Each and every bundle will have its own version. So the latest now existing version is 3.23015.14. That is the version of the build which Microsoft has released. Okay, and again here also you could see the session details. Okay, these are all the various settings you could see, and we are still yet to explore these options on the top menu. This menu is called the contextual menu. So why it is called contextual menu, why the feature, why these controls are showing like this, will it change, depends on my screen or depends on my selection, we will learn in the next class. Okay, any questions so far?